It's finally here, folks. Bleach, the Rebirth of Souls. It's your boy Jay. I haven't been doing anything in a very, very long time, but I decided to dive into this game. I was one of those that wanted to see what it was about. These people saying there's an arena fighter that the FGC will appreciate. So, let's dive into it and see if that statement is true or if this just is another arena fighter with little to no debt. Spoiler, it's still an arena fighter, but it does have some depth. For starters, we could see that there is quite a heavy cast of characters here. There is a total of 33. If you play the long, egregious, and not so good story mode, you can unlock the last character, which is a final form of Ichigo for the game. I am not that far into anime to know what he does, but I do know that he follows a different set of rules. For the majority of this, I'll be talking about characters that follow the average set of rules. There are variances, every character is different, but we're going to break them down like we would with the FGC. A lot of the jargon that I will be using will be jargon that the FGC completely understands. And if you are just new to fighting games in general, maybe you'll learn a thing or two about how the FGC analyzes their games. And I'm going to, as I said, try to dispel some of the things that people have been saying about this game's combo structure, about the fact that this game has no damage. There's truth to all of those, but there's exceptions to all of those as well. And we're going to dive into how to expand the damage, how to expand combos. Sometimes more is less, sometimes it's not. We're going to look at all factors as we dive into Bleach Rebirth of Souls. And I'm testing this out on the PC. I know a lot of people are saying they're having crashes. I've yet to have one. However, I've not played online yet to test that out. I usually spend a lot of time in the practice mode, and that's what I've been doing because I want to know all the elements of the game. I think I have a grasp on the majority of them, and that's why I'm ready to make this video for you. So here we are in the practice room, so I can break down some of the basic elements of Bleach Rebirth of Souls. First thing, let's look at the buttons here. So we have light attacks, we have heavy attacks, and we have this signature attack, and then we also have this launcher S attack that we'll be using, and then we have a dash attack, and there are a couple types of dashes you can do. I've seen perfect time dashes that kind of dodge everything for you. There is a grab, and you can do it from distance if you hold the button. There is a block. There is a button to use meter. And I would say that that's it for the basic buttons of the game. You walk using the analog stick in this game. And what's pretty confusing is that you actually hit up to walk towards the character. You would think it looks like a fighting game, so I should use left. But if I go left, as you can see, it 8-way runs, like from Soul Calibur. And right, do that. And they have, of course, the diagonals for the 8-way run. And I would say that that's kind of what this game feels like. Back in the day, Soul Calibur 1, which wasn't as combo heavy as the more modern Soul Caliburs, with a mix of arena fighter. The reason I don't call it a 3D fighter is because I think FGC people know how important stages are. Stages are an important element to every single game in the FGC. Tekken with walls, with cutting people off to the corners, Street Fighter with corners, all the other FGC main stages are, the stage is a determining factor. And I would say about 99.9% of the time in this game, stages don't matter. When you get people close to the stage, they kind of just, start to tilt on the axis to make sure that they don't hit the wall. And see, now as they get close to the wall, you'll see that they start to hit that wall, but then they're going to start to pivot, see, automatically. So the wall doesn't do a lot in this game, and that's why I don't truly consider it like a traditional fighting game. To make a long story short, I do believe that the buttons in this game, you just have to treat them like normals. And this is just a footsies and spacing game, and speed matters as well. And that's really it. There's the combo structure is very simple. It's usually just either light, 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 heavy, heavy, or a combination of them where you can see like light, heavy, or light, light, heavy, or heavy, light, light, and then heavy, light, light, heavy, things like that. And that's pretty much the combo structure of this game. You throw a grab in there every now and then. As you can see, a lot of people's grabs, they just allow you to continue and open somebody up to combo them. You can get a lot of damage actually off of a grab. Um, but that's really it as far as the combo structure goes for the basics. Now you can evolve these, and we'll get to that down the line. Light attacks, as you can see, I'm going to set the opponent to always guard, and light attacks are most of the time, I would say they're negative. You can see her recovery, and so if you do the full string of light attacks, you're more negative. If you do like 1, 2, you can usually get a block in, or you can go for a grab to try to mix it up. They have a flash to indicate a grab's coming, and you can tech grab with the same grab button. But that's really it. And if they go for a heavy, you can usually, like if they try to counterattack respond from a block, recover what a heavy. Usually you can hit them with a light before their heavy comes out. You could hit them with certain supers that have invulnerability as well. You can frame trap them essentially. I wouldn't say frame trapping is the name of this game, but there are certain setups where you can do it as far as mixing up your offense. The only other things they have is if you hit dash and then light, they do a dashing light, which is different than the traditional. So you can actually close the gap, and it's usually an advancing light, and it just continues into your light strings. You can do a dash heavy, but it doesn't have like the same sliding range as dash light. So I don't think that's really a good comparison. But you also have up heavy, because remember, up is always towards the opponent, no matter where you are. And most people have some type of advancement, but that's not true. Some people have counters, some people have projectiles. So there's a lot of variables to this up heavy attack. And these are where characters differ. And then you also have your signature move button, and some people can like do different versions of it. As you can see, that's a charged version of Rukia's, or you could tap. And then in certain situations, like here with Rukia, you could do the advancing into the tap. And there's different rules for different characters, and that's where the experimenting goes. I'm really not going to go delve into that much because that's when you go learn independent characters, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about just the game itself. So just think about it that your lightest are the fastest, just like every traditional FGC. Your heaviest do more damage. There's a lot more combo scaling that start with light versus heavy. So you really, if you want big damage, you want to start with a heavy attack versus a light attack. You just get more damage. Sometimes less is more. Like you would think, there's way more moves in that than there is in this, but the damage still stacks up. So just 2 heavies is better. And then, so that's how you kind of want to look at the game is the bigger buttons grant you more damage overall. And so if you really want to go for the damage, you need to find situations to get you into the more damage. And the easiest way to do that is a grab. It gets you right into the heavies right there. And you get to start the heavies for free. And when you do things with heavies, as you can see, versus heavy, light, heavy, light, you can see that the heavy did the most damage. If you're just looking at the combo damage there. See, just 2 heavies in a row. But after every combo string, if you finish with that blowback attack, you can add an extra hit for more damage. And because there is no Oki in this game, that's kind of what you probably want to do. You could do things, of course, if you just like to frame trap, you could just do these things where you hit with 3 lights and then it's your turn again because you're plus. You could do those setups or light. Instead of finishing with that block knockback, you do a grab. And that's probably the most advanced tech you're going to use on somebody. But once they condition themselves to see that, they'll be essentially attacking out of it. It's a rock paper scissors format. Attacks beat grabs, grabs beat block, block beats attack. So there is a guard gauge in this game. So as you can see, I'm depleting the guard gauge, and breaking the guard gauge is super punishing in this game because they cannot block until that red bar refills. And so offense is all you. And we're going to get into why this is extra dangerous a little bit later, but not being able to block in this game is a death sentence. And it's actually, if you can get a guard gauge, you're guaranteed to do crazy damage in this game, as long as you can do that as far as taking away life stocks. And so guard gauge is very important. We're going to get to the life stock situation a little bit later, for those of you who don't know what I mean by the life stocks. but the guard gauge is something that you need to protect. That is a setup for failure. It's worse than being burnt out in Street Fighter. This guard gauge is everything in this game. Like you could see how long he's stunned. That is a free combo, a continuous combo that you can do, and there's really no point in doing a free combo in this state. You're pretty much guaranteed life stocks. So just be wary about your guard gauge. It can make or break you in this game. So now we're going to start by talking about meter. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the EX meter. And anybody from the Street Fighter world knows what EX is from the KOF world. And I'm pretty sure if you're an FGC head, you know what EX means. I'm not going to explain it. The thing about the EX meter, though, is it gives you access to 2 new moves. You essentially have a level 1 EX move and a level 2 EX move. They're different from character to character. Some of them are installs, some of them are counters, some of them are moves, some of them have invulnerability, some of them don't. And you can only, from what I've seen from the majority of the cast, that is, you can only actually combo into one of your EX moves. You cannot combo into both. So, for example, this is Rukia's 1 bar EX move. And as you can see, that gold bar at the bottom is your EX meter. And that's her 1 bar. And then this is her 2 bar, okay? And the 2 bar does more damage. And for Rukia, it's actually her 2 bar that she covers, that she combos into versus her 1 bar. She cannot combo into her 1 bar. So I'm trying to combo into 1 bar and it's not letting me. But I can combo into her 2 bar. Most characters, it's their 1 bar, and as you can see, you get a total of 3 bars. That's what that 150 stands for. And those are your EX moves. And of course, you use EX moves to extend damage. Okay. And there you go. So there's a simple basic combo in Bleach Rebirth of Souls. And this is the main reason people are saying this game doesn't have a lot of damage, which is a myth that we'll dispel later once we understand how this game works. Good 35 for 2 bars. It doesn't seem like much. But we're going to continue so we can see how to actually add a bit more damage in this game. And that's where we're going next. So now the bar that we're going to talk about is that reverse gauge at the bottom. There are 3 essential bars in this game for the average character. Some other characters have their own unique bars. But there are the 3, which is the one, the evolution bar. As you can see, it's flashing with evolution, which is pretty much an install for every character. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. The EX bar, as we just got done talking about, and this reverse bar, this reverse gauge, I'm sorry. But the reverse gauge is the only one you start with. You start with 2 bars at the beginning of each match. And once you evolve, you have the chance of getting 3, but at base form, the highest you can get is 2. And when I hold the special move button, as you can see, I have reverse action, I have flash step. The only one that we're going to talk about right now is flash step. So when I do flash step, as you can see, I did this, and you teleport behind your opponent. Let me kind of get him off the wall so you guys can see that. Let me just do this. And see, you kind of teleport away. So if somebody's zoning and you need to dodge that, you can sacrifice one of those bars for it. I think that's inefficient, but you can do it. However, this flash step also acts as a counter. So you can see that, boom, it's a counter. And they're completely opened up for heavy attacks, everything from it. So that's another way you can use it. You can use it as a perfect counter. And if you time it correctly, you get that small cinematic, and that's what flash step is used for. The other thing that you use flash step for in this game is you just use it to advance combos, like to extend them. So off of anything right here, I can flash step, and they go into this automatic chain sequence that you can't do anything on. They just automatically finish it, but you can do it off of so many things that it's ridiculous. So you can do your heavy launcher and then flash step that, and you teleport to the other side, and you just add some more hits. As we could see, it got me to about 27% damage, which isn't bad, but as I said, it still seems like it's not worth like 27, 26. People have different health stocks, so I'm just saying percent. Ignore the percent word. Um, and it still seems very inefficient, but it is a way to extend damage in this game. And it works off of projectiles as well. Oh, well, I thought it worked off of Rukias. There it goes. So you can use it as a way to add on to these two normal weak signature moves. It's good for things like that. It still doesn't seem strong. Okay, it doesn't seem strong. And as I said, this is the main reason why people complain about the damage in the game. Nothing seems strong. Um, but Flash Step is still a very, very good tool, especially defensively. I don't know how much I agree with using it versus the other benefits. I could see it's a very situational tool in my eyes because I do believe that reverse actions are just so much better. And that's why I would argue trying to save them for reverse actions. But we all know how fighting games go. Sometimes you need to get that little bit of extra damage, and that's when you would use Flash Step, or if you need that counter to start your offense somehow. If somebody throws a projectile at you and you Flash Step it to get in there and everything. Yeah, of course, you need to use it for that. But losing the reverse step is really, really, really tough. To not have access to the reverse action. I'm sorry, because these reverse actions are very strong, and that's what we're going to dive into next. Okay, reverse actions. What is a reverse action? Well, there's three types of reverse action. First type of reverse action is when you activate it in neutral. You get that white flash and you glow white. And what does this do? Well, it has two purposes. Number one, you can see my gold EX bar is flashing, and that's because it is replenishing some of my EX meter. And as you can see, it slowly drains, but if I use a flash step, I deplete some of it. So you want to be careful with using flash steps when you activate your reverse actions because you want to get that extra meter. And if I use the flash step, I cut down a huge chunk of it, a full bar of it, thus I'm not going to get as much meter. The other thing it does, which you cannot see, is it also replenishes health. So as you can see, the computer is attacking me. He just activated his level 2. He's doing a bunch of damage to me. And now I'm going to pop that in neutral. And the first thing it does is it knocks him back. But you can see my health is coming back, like I was saying. And when it finally drains, pop, all the health comes back. So that's how that version of the reverse gauge works. Next thing we're going to talk about is the burst reverse. So as you can see, Ichigo's attacking me, and he's popping stuff and everything, and boom, doing a bunch of combos and stuff, and boom, I just burst. And when I burst, obviously it gets you out of any combo. And as you can see, it's draining. And I want to talk about the drain because remember we were talking about how important our block gauge is. So as you can see, my block gauge, he's withering it down. I just want him to keep withering down my block gauge. And, that's what I want him to do. I'm getting hit when my block gauge has been down. I'm a burst, and boom, there it goes. You can see my block gauge is slowly growing. It is a slow crawling grow, but it is definitely worth keeping. And we're going to save that for later. Mystery. The final form of reverse action I want to talk about is what's called chain reverse. And this is the one that you do, and I want you to think of it as either a focus attack dash cancel or a drive rush after a normal drive rush cancel, because that's what you do. It allows you to extend combos. So we could do our combo strings like we were talking about, and then we activate burst reverse, and then we can continue the combo, right? And as you can see, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and it drains. So what does it do while it drains? Well, that meter, that evolution meter that we were talking about in the top left, it starts to fill that. And that evolution meter, as we'll find out, is a very, 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 very important meter. But it allows you to do things, if you can get max damage by doing something like this. And what do you know? There's damage. We have finally seen that thing that people say does not exist in this game. Damage. Pop. Off of a grab. Well, what do you know? There's some damage. So, as I said, it was a myth. But yeah, those are the ways you can use your gauge in this game, your reverse gauge. And now comes the, I guess, the most cinematic gauge, the thing that all Bleach fans love when they see it, these installs. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So, when playing this game and doing things like getting hits, getting hit yourself, which actually seems to give you more, that spirit gauge or your evolution gauge starts to fill up rather quickly. And we all know this is another way, but you want to get this meter up as high as possible because then you actually get to do the bleach thing that everybody loves, the evolution. And that's what you saw Ichigo doing when I decided to cut it and save it as a mystery, but it's the evolution. And now that I've evolved, I am just a better version as myself. As you can see, my reverse gauge now has 3, so I'm even stronger. But another thing you notice is that my spirit gauge has depleted, but it looks like it can grow because it can. But there's something very different when you're in your install mode or your evolution. Um, you have damage. Look at that. My 2 normals now hit a lot harder because I'm evolved. That means that if we do some of our other stuff, oh, that's not bad, right? That's not bad at all. That was solid damage. Whoa, that was 50%. So, yeah, there's no damage because you got to evolve to do damage in this game. But once you evolve, this game moves very quickly, right? And you start to get through these matches a lot quicker once the evolution happens, which is why you kind of want to prioritize that evolution. And so when you're starting out in your base form, maybe you want to use the one that helps your spirit gauge fill right off the jump. You start out with those 2 reverse bars, you do this, you get to that evolution quicker. I think it's going to be GG's a lot faster once you get that evolve going. And that's one thing I don't see a lot of people do. I see people doing, using reverse actions, and we saw how weak all of that stuff was, right? We saw how weak it was. And because you have no EX gauge to really tack on top of it, you're really not doing much when you're base form doing those things. Let's go back really fast so we can see the difference. And she's normal form, same combo. Well, not terrible, but not as it didn't hit as hard. Not terrible, but it didn't hit as hard. And I don't know. I like hitting hard, So as I said, this is one of the most efficient things I see people doing is in that first round when before you're evolving, they're blowing so much meter or flash attacking and doing all this and okay, that's solid, respectable. Most of your combos are gonna start with lights. They're not gonna start with heavies anyway. So this is what you see, and you're just like, oh yeah, this, and ooh, oh, like that's a waste of meter, and there's no damage as a result. Even if I had that, still no damage. So it just makes much more sense to pop that and do that and then just call it a day and just step back and go back to neutral and play the neutral game again, right? And that just makes so much more sense because you really want to get into that evolution state as fast as possible in this game because that's where damage is. So in my opinion, it's one of the most inefficient ways of using meter. Like take that and move on. You're fine. Take something like that. Just keep moving on because once you pop that evolution, you're ready to rock. And then the other good thing about evolution, and I'm not going to say it, I'm just going to show it. It doesn't matter if he evolves now. You guys can see it. The holification. of Ichigo and let him start attacking me. Oh, well, what do you know? There's another combo break. So we have now two ways to burst. We have evolution and we have burst. Okay, so that's another good thing that you can do about evolution. But evolution buffs your character in all ways. You get more damage, as we've seen. Your abilities can change, as we see Rukia's. See, it changed, and what she didn't have that before. And every character's evolutions do different things for them. And that's the cool thing about this game is when they evolve, they become different characters. Um, and you know, this is kind of what fans of Bleach want to see. They want to see them go through all their different states and do all their power ups and everything. But yeah, they're different characters. She's not the same. She's got that and this for her level 2 EX move, and so very different. I said this is not a character guide, but I will show you two characters, for example, that become completely different characters when they evolve, and just to show you that this game does have more to it than what you were seeing earlier. For some characters like Rukia, she's kind of the same with new EX moves with more damage, and your meter comes back faster when you evolve too. So you get more meter, access to more meter, you get more meter. It just picks up. I try to liken it to KOF. For anybody who plays KOF, when you start getting to level 2 and level 3, I'm sorry, character 2, character 3, that's when the game really kicks in. Like, that first round of KOF, it's like very neutral, neutral, neutral. But then when you get to round 2 plus, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And that's what I kind of liken this to. And we're going to just look at Renji real fast and base form so you can see, okay, he kind of does the different things, sword attacks and yaza yaza ya. But let's evolve Grimjow, who's the same. He just does sword attacks. But now let's evolve Grimjow so we can see what exactly does Grimjow do when he is awakened. Okay, well, let's find out. Here's Grimjow. That's a different character. He's not attacking with swords because he doesn't even have a sword. So he's got a completely different moveset when he evolves, and that's how Grimjow operates. He's a completely different character. So you really want to get him to evolve as fast as you can so you can get access to this form, which does way more damage, and it's a completely different character. Renji is unique. There's Renji and one other character who have this, because when he evolves, he becomes a completely different character. He's now like a Titan class character where he has super armor and all of these things, and he can attack from full screen, and you can't do anything to him. And just look at the damage that he's dishing out, right? So this is Renji when he is in his evolved state, right? Look at the size of this thing. He's a Titan, right? And this is not a permanent install like most characters have a permanent install. This is not a permanent install for Renji because this would be broken to have super armor and everything for the rest of the match. But these installs are very, very powerful. And of course, this does a lot of guard gauge damage, and we've already talked about the importance of guard gauge in this. But as you can see, he loses the install, and he actually goes to his weakest form after that. So Renji's a bit different because he goes from medium to super strong to weak, right? And that's kind of his game plan. So you have to play around that. But the Titan characters, when they transform into a Titan, when you evolve them into a Titan, they actually do get all their health back, which is another thing you want to play around with them. You want to make sure that you're lower on health when you activate them so that you can get full health back, and it's just a strategy you want to do with those Titan characters. So yeah, that's the evolve meter, and as we could see, it completely changes the narrative of every match, and it's character to character specific. So every game and every matchup is completely different, especially when they evolve. And finally, arguably the most important part of the game, probably not arguably, but how do you win? Well, you win by taking off those stocks. those numbers that you see next to their health bar at the top of the screen. So Rukia has 9, Bankai Ichigo has 8, and that's because he's got another evolution where he resurrects. And so he starts out with less because he can resurrect and have more. But how do you take those off? And what are those things flashing next to it and how they're showing 3? Well, those represent the amount of health stocks I could take off. So right now, I could take off 3 health stocks. I could take off 2, which is why they're orange, by hitting you with what we call a Kikon move. And do it at Kikon, when you do the smashback attack, you hold that button and they charge up, and you do Kikon. And I'll just show you a Kikon move really fast. And boom, Kikon. So I'm taking off 2 for this. This is a, see, it says 2. And now he's got 6. And you're going to sit there and say, man, that's a lot of stocks. This game's going to take forever. These matches take forever. But that's not a true statement. That is not a true statement at all. You can actually take off more Kikon moves. So how do we get up that 3? Because there's that yellow one glowing. Well, the way that we take off all 3 all 3 health bars is, let's just keep his health at normal so it doesn't replenish, and we can just keep on attacking him. Just boom, boom, boom. We're going to do some of these awful combos that I was telling you not to do, because I just want to take off his health, okay? That's my goal. And you get him to the red right here, but if you actually get the true kill, that's how you take off that 3rd one, okay? And so when you deplete all their health, and I guess that's a little bit confusing because I showed you all you have to do is hit that one Kikon move, and that you can do it. But when I do the one that I showed you in the beginning, that is not a guaranteed hit. And realistically, nobody is going to get hit by that unless they're just a noob. They're not going to get hit if you do this in neutral, this Kikon move. So as you can see, he recovers, and as long as he's holding block, he blocks the Kikon move, and we're back at neutral. So how do you guarantee these Kikon moves? Well, the way you guarantee these Kikon moves, I sound silly saying that word, but whatever. Just for the sake of this, the way you guarantee these Kikon moves is you take their health into that red zone, as you're going to see. And once their health is in the red, it's now guaranteed. I'm going to switch them to block, just so you guys can see. Always guard. And I'm going into it, and it doesn't matter. He can't block it. It's guaranteed now that he's red. And that's how you do it. And so you take off those 2 stocks. And as I said, you can get higher than 2. So how do you get higher than 2? And that's the thing that we're going to delve into now. Another thing about that red health section that I was just showing you guys, that red health that guarantees the Kikon move, is they get like a defense mechanism for hits, and they don't take as much damage in that section when their health is in the red. So as you can see, these 2 hits are doing less and less because, now that they're in red, it's doing under 15. And as you can see, it's doing less and less. Now it's only doing 1,000. So it takes a lot more to kind of get that health away. They give them a lot more survivability. And that's why I think if we were to look at, which is their health is called reishi, all these terms. And this is when some of those other elements that we were talking about come into play, where it becomes less and less of a misusage of meter, when you may want to start throwing things like this into to tack on, just to guarantee that you're going to get those knockdowns or those full health drains. Let me put it on where his reishi gauge has recovery. So as you can see, like that, that was respectable, and it withered it down. It's almost like in Street Fighter when you see these pros play, how at the end of the round they'll burn meter to guarantee the round. You kind of want to do that in this game. Like if you have them at low health and you can get it, you're gonna want to do burn all your meter that you can to get that soul break, which is better than just a regular Keycon move, and boom, you take that third stock. Okay. So, and I know I've been saying that you can get even more. So, how is it that we get even more? Well, this is when it comes into the evolution. So, now that I've evolved, as you can see, that those little orange pips and yellow pips are going to change. So, now that you evolve, um, I can take away 4 of his stocks. And there goes 4 stocks right there. Can you take off more? Yes, you can. Because you remember what I said, there is a level above there's a level above your first evolve, which I'm going to help her get to by doing that. I'll just attack, and that bar is going to fill. That bar is going to fill. That bar is going to fill. And next thing you know, let's do a couple more attacks. Let's get this bar to fill. Sublimation. So now that I'm in sublimation mode, this adds an extra pip. So if we were to go back to full health for Ichigo, let's put Compaq 2 back to infinite. And so now he's got his 8 stocks back. But look, 4 are glowing, and it's guaranteed to be 4. Guaranteed. At least 4. And of course, if I want to take off even more than that, now I have taken away 5. You'll see it yourself, 5. And so that's how you take away more of those health stocks, and that's how you win the game. So if you're wise, you can try to kill Ichigo in 2 shots. You could try to do it in base form and drain all of his health, but we know it takes a lot longer to drain that health when it hits red to get to the 3, and then try to get to sublimation before he gets to sublimation, and then take away 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. Ichigo's dead. Ichigo's dead, you win the round. But if he gets to sublimation, he does resurrect. But that's where the strategy comes in. Do your math to figure out the most efficient way to get the victory. It's easier to just do this. A lot less work, because once they hit the 30%, they're within striking distance to go right into your Keycon move versus into the soul break, which guarantees that extra stock. But for some characters, it's better to go for that if you want to do the high risk, high reward to get the 2-shot victory. And I've seen up to 6 Keycon stocks on 1 attack. I don't know what the potential is, what that max is, but I've seen up to 6. And there's a couple people who can hit up to 6. So that's kind of where this game changes, and that's, the plan is different for everybody. So Rukia, because her max is 5, the average person has 9. More than likely, your first stock attack with Keycon is going to be a 2 or a 3. So even if you do 2 or 3 and then you do 5, well, 3 plus 5 is 8, and most people have 9 stocks. That's not enough. So because 9's not enough, it doesn't make sense to go for the full health drain with that first attack. As soon as they're in red, pop them with this, get the easy 2, because you're going to have to kill them at least 3 times anyway. You might as well go for the 2-2-3 approach, 2-2-4 approach or something like that, As a matter of fact, it's going to be at least 3 the next time. So it's going to, the first one could be 2, and the next one's going to be at least 3, which makes 5. And then you'll probably be at sublimation and get that 4th. And that's the smartest way to do it with her, right? Level when you're in base form, you get the 2, then you evolve, you get the 3, then you hit sublimation, then you get the 4, and that is 9. And that's probably the smartest way to do it with Rukia without playing any mini games or that certain characters have to do to make sure you get more stocks. Just do the simple 2, 3, 4, and you will win. And that's how I would play Rukia, and that's how I do play Rukia. This is my main character right now that I've been using in practice mode, or when I play the computer, I just do 2, 3, 4. That's how I win. 2, 3, 4 every single time. There's no point of getting fancy. There's no point of me trying to do soul break. It just doesn't matter. The max you can hit is 5. If I was going against someone like Ichigo, Evolution Ichigo, or somebody with less stocks, then the mind games come in. Should I go for the soul break so I can just do the 3, 5? Sometimes that's the best way to do it, and so that's what I do when I get to those characters. But on the average character, 2, 3, 4, game over. Right? But that's where characters differ. That's how you play around characters. And there's one last thing I want to show you all before we go, or before I go. That is, it's pretty late at night, but I want to get this video done for you guys. We talked about this guard gauge, okay? And I'm going to put the guard gauge on normal, just so we can see this. So you remember, when they can't block, as a matter of fact, let's do this, just so you can see. So he's on always guard. So let's do this. Oh, guard broken. Guess what? Full health. Oh, but guess what? He can't do. He can't block. So what do you know? He's got full health. He's not in the red. Hey, protect your guard gauge. This is your boy Jay signing out. Y'all be good. Peace.